Our own planet is only a tiny part of the vast cosmic tapestry, a starry fabric of worlds yet untold.
For the next 90 minutes, your mind shall become engaged with minds that are very much like your own. Join Paul Cagle, Sushi, and Springwolf as they discuss various topics and people that we all have questions about. You're taking part in the Enigma Project.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Enigma Project. My name is Paul Cagle, and tonight we will be talking about animals possessing people and playing Truth or Tale. But first, I would like to introduce my cohorts in this madness, Springwolf.
Hello, hello.
And Sushi.
Hey, everybody.
How you guys doing?
Okie doke.
I have spent 2 days pigging out on Easter candy. I am so ashamed. So
Must be nice.
I agree.
I did not get
It's
any Easter
the
candy, so
cream
screw
eggs
both
and the
y'all.
jelly beans and the chocolate bunnies and oh my
We
god.
came downstairs yesterday and told me, Mama, don't get me any more cute bunnies because I feel guilty when I eat his ears.
Aw.
Nice.
That's so cute.
It was something like that. But
It makes me happy to bite off the ears.
Yeah, but you're a very old... Never mind. Never mind.
Hey guys, guess where I'm going on Friday?
Where are you going on Friday?
I am going, me and a girlfriend. So my family will be home. Crooks, don't come raid my house. They're home. We're going to Natural Bridge, Virginia, to a life-size replica of Stonehenge made out of styrofoam, and
Nice.
it's called Foamhenge.
Oh, God, of course
So
it is.
So on April Fool's Day, we are going to Foamhenge.
Of course. Are you sure it's not a joke? That it's
No,
not
I'm sure it's a real place. It's a real place. I swear. People have
it's
been
a
there.
little bit far away for meet you there because the boy would love that, and he's on spring break this week.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I know. See, that I had actually emailed Spring to find out if I could come visit her, but she's just another 4 or 5 hours away.
She's like,
so
nope.
Like,
No,
no,
you
never
can't.
mind. Okay.
We're a fair piece to east.
Yeah.
Well, you're halfway there. You might as well stop. I mean,
I guess. Man, I don't know. I'm with somebody else and at the mercy of her car. So.
Yeah.
no, you just go. It's just a short drive away. We'll be there in no time.
Yeah.
Lots of acetone, yeah.
Yeah. Oh
Yeah.
no! I'm not bringing acetone. No.
Why? It'll be fun. It'd be like April Fools. Melt it. It'll make them nervous. You will command respect. Yeah,
Thanks,
that's
Jimmy.
right, Jimmy. Thanks. Thanks, Jimmy. Don't give her any ideas. Anyway, before we get this madness started, too late. I want to remind everyone to check out our blog at enigmaproject.com. Please let me know if anything is not working there. I redid the website. It wouldn't do what I wanted it to do. So I got mad and redid the whole thing, which is what I did yesterday. Instead of eating Easter candy, I worked on the website. So there's still some things that need to be tweaked on it and some things that need to be added and fixed. But if something's not working, like for instance today, when we logged in, Sushi could not get to the web or to the chat room. Said it did not exist. Spring was in it, but Sushi couldn't find it. So I don't know.
We got it now.
Yeah, so check out enigmaproject.com. You can check out our blog, shows that we've got coming up. I do have a new calendar system set up on there. So if you want to subscribe to the calendar, then you can have reminders from whichever calendar you use, whether it's Outlook or Apple or Google, whatever. You can set yourself up reminders for individual shows that you're interested in, or just all of them, and it will tell you when we've got shows coming up. It will tell you what the show is about, and it will update and give you all the information so that you don't have to worry about it anymore. So I set that up for you guys so you can do that. You can send any questions or comments to paul@enigmaproject.com or call the hotline at 423-521-2930. And don't forget to check out Spring's blog at springwolf.net. And don't forget to spread the word about the show because we want more people to listen. If you listen to this show and you enjoy it, please do some sort of review on either iTunes or Spreaker or Stitcher or whatever you use, just to let people know that you enjoy it and what you enjoy about it so that people can start listening to the show as well, and they can find us and start listening live and or sending us questions or comments. And mentioning questions or comments, next week is our April Freeform show. So send us your questions and comments now. You can send them to paul@enigmaproject.com or send them to any of the various and sundry website addresses, Facebook, Twitter, and we can ask them over the show. If you don't send us questions, we will talk about whatever we want to, and we will. We will talk about whatever, does not matter. And I've got a couple saved over from last month's show. I know Spring had one, I think, and Sushi, you had one about Bigfoot. So we will maybe be using those if you don't send us your questions. I actually have a list of stuff just in case we run out of something to talk about. Jimmy said he posted his question on our Facebook announcement for the episode. Did we get that?
Mm-hmm.
Maybe he just did it.
Did you just did it, Jimmy? Because
Sorry.
because you never know. I may have it tucked away somewhere and forgotten about it because I'm busy trying to watch the sound and make sure everything's going out correctly and that everyone and everything can be heard. So you never know with me. I could lose my own head if it wasn't attached. But if you missed last week's show, we discussed naked ghost hunting, which was also the topic of the Seps Paranormal podcast, and that was a very interesting topic, and I think we all kind of came to the same conclusion on that. But if you are somehow listening live to this madness right now and you want to join the chat room, go to enigmaproject.com/listen-live and join in the madness. Now, there's also a chat room on the Spreaker site, but we don't use that one because it's more of a comment section than it is a chat room. It doesn't tell us who's there. It doesn't show us people in the chat room. I don't think you can post pictures and stuff there. But we have a new chat room now. We'll see how long this lasts. And you can post pictures, comments, questions, that kind of thing to the new chat room. So join us at enigmaproject.com, AENIGMA, project.com/listen-live for that. So that there's always a conversation going on in there that's usually entertaining and fun. So
I have Jimmy's comment when we're ready for it.
Okay.
We probably need to get into the show a little bit first.
Yeah, I was going to say we probably need to get some groundwork established before we start asking questions.
Okay.
So the topic was animals possessing people. And this was a topic that Spring chose and sent us to he said, wait, that post was just me having some fun with Paul. Please don't read it on your show.
Oh, I think we have to now.
Oh, my goodness. I'm afraid to ask what it was. And His Royal Highness, the Master of All, Tater, has joined us in the chat room. Tater, thank you for gracing us with your presence. You are... And he's already started with the pictures. He is glad to be back. Anyway, so...
If you're not in the chat room, you're going to miss an awful lot of this show.
You're going to miss something. I don't know if it's life-changing, but you're going to miss something. But, so, the topic is animals possessing people. There's Foamhinge. And, and this was a topic that Spring had chosen, and she sent me she sent us a link to an article with this in it. And I didn't pay that much attention to the article because I had other shows going on. We had an interview that we did with Beyond the White Noise vidcast on YouTube. And I was busy and all this, and I got to looking at the article, and it had one thing about animal possession. And I was like, how are we going to do a show about this? And Spring was like, there's other stuff on there, Paul. We could just go with it. There's more information about animals and that kind of thing. But I did find some more stuff. Now, as far as animals possessing people, the stuff that I found was not a lot of modern mainstream information. It was a lot more about kind of, I don't know, how would you explain it? Like beliefs from other, not religions, but spirituality sometimes.
Cultures.
Cultures about animals being able to possess people. And it's one of the things that I never really thought about because, oh dear God, is that from Tater?
No.
No, it's from Jimmy. Wow. I don't know what to say to that picture. I'm going to have nightmares, Jimmy. Thank you very much for that. But no, as far as animals possessing people, I've never really heard about this. Have you guys?
Yes.
Have you?
No, I don't think so. I guess I've heard of channeling an animal or maybe believing that you were an animal. I mean, you hear about the Wolfman tales and all that. So, yeah, in a way, but I didn't know it permeated through other cultures.
Well, I think that the
Like,
Wolfman thing is a part of lycanthropy, and that's really more of a curse than it is an animal taking over a person. I could be wrong about that. I don't know where the origins come from, but go ahead with what you were
but I
saying.
know, but I mean, the wolf is inside the person, and so I always thought of that as a kind of possession.
I guess so. Spring, what were you saying?
Most shamanistic cultures have some form of animal possession. Today, maybe because we're influenced by TV and movies and entertainment, books and things like that, we automatically think of possession as being a negative thing instead of, having a balance. There might be possessions that are good things.
Well,
And
and that's possible, but when you mention shamanistic traditions, that's more invoking or evoking. That's not possession to
not
me.
necessarily.
To me.
Yeah, not necessarily.
You see,
There are.
I was thinking the same thing too. When we think of possession, it's not something that you want. You're being possessed. You're being owned. You're being taken over. And so, yes, I've always thrown that in more of a negative connotation.
But
Right.
there are some stories, especially in Native American cultures, of someone being in a situation where their life is being threatened and they get so scared that they, almost become like a possum. They freeze and they can't do anything to save themselves. And their animal spirit will possess them and get them out of trouble. So it's not necessarily something they want or something that they invoked, but something that they are spiritually connected to that helps save them in the physical sense.
Right. And I just want to say really quick that the definition of possessed is influenced or controlled by something, as an evil spirit, a passion, or an idea, mad, crazed, urgently desirous to do or have something. So the idea of being possessed is not a positive word to begin with. So when we're talking about someone being possessed, we're not necessarily using a positive word to describe the situation to start with. So that's why we kind of think of a negative connotation.
I think that's probably good definitions.
Right. But that's, to me, that's kind of where that idea comes from. Now, I know that with shamanistic traditions that I can't remember Invoke is when you call on something, and evoke is when you call something into yourself. Is that right?
Mm.
I always get it wrong. But invoking and evoking, I think invoking is when you cast a spell, you invoke magic. Evoking is when you call something into yourself, like if you summon an animal spirit or the god and goddess, lord and lady, or an aspect of something you want to represent or manifest during ritual or circle. To me, with the shamanistic traditions, I've always thought of those more as evoking an animal spirit rather than being possessed by it. Now, what you said though, Spring, about being in a life threatening situation and being possessed by an animal spirit to save you, that makes sense to me. You know, that if one has a spirit animal and that spirit animal wants to protect someone, that they might step in and go, okay, hold up, scaredy cat, let's fix this. You know, and that
Well,
cat was possessed by Volkswagen.
by definition, invoke you invoke a spirit or a deity, you bring it to mind, you pull one into you, you conjure up or summon. You invoke a spirit.
Okay.
Evoke is to bring up or recall into the conscious mind as if you're pulling in a memory or conjuring up a consciousness.
Yeah, I always
So,
get those wrong.
yeah, they sound so much alike.
Right. And I used to think that invoking was pulling something into you, and it's not necessarily. So I always get those wrong, and I've had a problem with it for years and years and years, not being able to remember the difference between the two. But with me in shamanistic traditions, I've always thought of it more of a joining of spirits willingly, not a possession, not of a fox spirit stepping into my body and going, okay, I possess you now. Oh, Tater, you put your picture up there. You're looking good. I like the teeth. Did you have some work done? Um, but yeah, I've always, thought of it more as a willingness to learn something from that animal or to see something that it needs you to see or something like that. And I could be wrong about that. I've never really, uh, practiced the shamanistic tradition, although I would like to learn more about it. But as far as possessions, animal possessions go, it's not necessarily, from what I've seen of the paranormal, it's not necessarily something that we deal with on a regular basis here in the U.S. I rarely, I don't think I've ever heard anyone say, "Oh my God, you've got to come help us. My sister's possessed by our dead cat." You
It's
know,
interesting. I went ahead and looked up possession from a dictionary perspective, from Webster's, Oxford, the online dictionary, the free dictionary. The very first thing they all say is that it is a state of ownership and controlling something.
right. And
Doesn't
so,
necessarily say if it's a good or bad control. It just says it's controlling something.
well, I think that when anything controls you without your consent, it can be a bad thing.
Yeah,
Y-
I
You
would
know,
agree.
I don't want anything necessarily controlling me unless it's life or death without my consent. You know, um,
And even then, it's only to get me out of the the death side, not the life side.
I want it to get me out of life.
Yeah, there you
Um,
go.
yeah.
Hmm.
So
It's interesting.
Yeah, I was just thinking, maybe possession doesn't necessarily have to be a bad thing. If, let's say you're in a life or death situation and you get possessed so that it would get you out of that life or death situation. Like maybe you were in a car wreck and something takes over your body so that you can avoid, or can save your life. Anyway, that was what was going through my,
See,
my
now
mind.
that's
How can it be good? How can possession
that's
be a
an
good thing?
interesting example because I found a story from 1938 that talked about a guy who was traveling home from some kind of military thing. He was in the military. He was going home and he was tired and he crashed his car into a tree, and the car caught on fire. And witnesses who came upon the incident swore they saw a wolf pulling the guy out of the car to save his life from being burned. And when they got closer, there was no animal around to be seen. Now, to
Wow.
me, that's not possession.
Right.
To
That's
me,
not
that's
possession.
right. That's just, maybe a spirit animal that came by in the nick of time, like people talk about, an angel came and saved somebody. To me, that's this guy's angel, you know.
Right.
But but to some degree, it's still some form of animal connection to this guy that made it, a life or death situation that he survived. I thought it was cool.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's awesome. Um, but I agree with you. I don't think it's possession. I
Yeah.
think that's a spirit guide, coming over at the right time, right place, or knowing that something was up and going to happen, and stepping in and saying, as much as I hate to say it, it's not your time
Hmm.
or whatever, and keeping you alive. I don't necessarily believe that you have a time to go or not to go. Honestly, don't know that you do or don't. It just, I don't use that term a lot. So I can't really say, oh, it's not your time. I'm going to save you. But yeah, I don't know
Well,
where I
the
was going with
article
all that.
that inspired this topic um, shared different kind of animal spirit type interactions with living humans. The wolf saving the guy. We hear stories all the time about animals being able to see spirit, especially cats, that they can predict death.
Right.
Um, the Egyptians, have a big thing with cats. The early pagan Egyptians have a big thing with cats and honoring cats and worshiping cats and all that stuff because they believed they were the way here in the United States we think of crows as being messengers. From spirit coming to tell you that change is happening or that something or someone is coming to an end. That's the
I
way the
thought you were going to
Egyptians
say
viewed
a
cats.
messenger from space. And I was going to say, no,
Space.
I've
Gross.
never seen that. But then I realized what you were saying. My bad.
Gross.
My bad. So sorry. Please
Sorry, it's
continue.
kind of like me thinking that you were talking about your phone secretly.
Oh, yeah. When I don't remember what I said, but she thought I said my phone was tinkling.
Yeah.
And I said I would not be surprised.
Oh, maybe your phone was possessed by a cat that needed to go outside.
Oh, dear God. Probably ours here at the house. Um,
Anyway.
I would swear this cat's possessed. But anyway. But as far as people being possessed by animals, um, it seemed to be more, prevalent in olden days because of, the information that I pulled up and found, and I'll just go over a little bit of it. But the Japanese people used to believe, and they might still, but they used to believe in it's called and please forgive me if I get this wrong. My Swahili is not good. It's tsukimono, which is the possessing thing, and translated and sourced from it was Mizuki, whatever, from these different places, Japanese Wikipedia and other sources. Um, Tsukimono is a straightforward term. It combines the kanji tsuki, possession, mono, thing. There's a different word for actual possession. Uh, I can't say it. Hyoi, which is the kanji, but this time hyo, whatever. Anyway, but there's Shinto god possession, which means the Shinto gods possess you. And then there is yokai, and that's animal possession. And it says Tsukimono was almost exclusively yokai or animal spirits invading human bodies. This is rarely a spontaneous event. Often the yokai possesses the human as an act of revenge for when a human kills one of the yokai's children or destroys its home or something along that lines. Or it could be simply greed, like a fox who wants to eat a delicious treat that it normally can't get its paws on. The reasons are innumerable as the yokai themselves, but as opposed to the Shinto god possession, it is always involuntary on the part of the possessed. No one invites a Tsukimono into their body. And it's basically saying the Tsukimono come into the body like a fox because it wants to get to a delicious treat that it can't get to. And so it eats and eats and eats and eats and usually makes the person sick. So this is a form of possession where the animal spirit comes into the body to accomplish its own ends, but this is anthropomorphic. This is us placing human values on an animal. And then
Oh
that
my
animal,
God, they were the first Walt Disney.
they were the first Walt Disney. But it's being anthropomorphic. It's saying that this fox can't get to the pie on the windowsill, so now it is going to be greedy and hungry and possess you so that it can eat the pie and then eat everything in sight.
Well, there's a good excuse. Honey, what happened to my pie?
The fox ate it.
The fox ate it.
What did the fox say? Yip, 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 yip. Oh, anyway. But yeah, so there are these stories from Japanese and other cultures about animals having human traits and then possessing humans to bring about those traits. And I just wanted to find out what you guys thought about this whole.
Damn you, Tater.
What'd he do this time? Oh, dear God. If you're in the chat room, you are missing a nightmare of some sort.
Wow.
Just for those of you that don't like getting into chat rooms and being part of a chat, you can view the chat without coming in.
That's right. Like right now, I can see that there are 8 people talking and 2 people viewing the chat.
There you go.
So,
and we don't know who those 2 people are. So
right, we have no way of knowing.
Not a clue.
You're
anonymous.
Anonymous.
Yeah. Anyway, I think it's just human nature to put human traits on animals because it makes us feel in some way connected to them.
Agreed. Yep. And I think we do it with everything. I think we do it with nature and God or gods.
Our
we
cars, our cell phones.
Right.
Yeah.
Because it helps us to better understand these alien concepts and to better interact with them because we give them, we anthropomorphize. I don't even know if that's the right word. We give them
personality we can relate to.
Right, something we can relate to and interact with and feel more comfortable with. When the car breaks down, sometimes it might be easier to hate it if you think of it as a person and it's doing that just to get on your nerves. Everybody else has been getting on your nerves, why not your car? And so you just lump it in there with everything else. It doesn't mean that car has a spirit. It doesn't mean that the car really Jimmy?
Well, I don't know. I sing to my car every morning when we get in it and I take the boy to school. I sing to the car and tell it how much we love it and thank it for getting us to where we need to go. And the boy looks at me like I've lost my mind.
Well, there's a reason for that. But anyway, Jimmy has gone straight to the furries if you people are interested. And, but that does bring up an interesting question. If one were a furry, and for those of you who don't know what a furry is, go look it up because I'm not going to explain it. But if one were a furry and one were getting into one's character,
would you invite your spirit, as animal of the spirit of the costume you were wearing, to possess you?
Well, not even invite. How about be possessed by?
That's what I mean.
Right. Can you imagine?
Well, in some South African tribes, which we would consider to be shamanistic in nature, they actually have rituals where they invite various animals to come in and possess them during a short period of time so that they can act according to the animal's impulses. In most cases, that kind of possession happens when someone wants to do something that in their nature they wouldn't otherwise do.
Right.
So maybe they're doing it for courage, like if they're going to go into a battle, or maybe they're doing it because they're a good person and they're tired of being a good person and they want to be a bad person for one night or something, Who knows? I'm sure
Well,
there's a gazillion reasons.
that calls to mind the Scandinavians and the Vikings and the Berserkers. The word comes from Berserkers, which is like bear fighters or something like that.
It
And they would,
does?
yeah, yeah, they would literally call on the spirit of the bear to possess them, so that they could fight better and be
Hmm.
more ferocious and be more dangerous in battle. So that kind of makes sense in that respect of the word. That I was going to look it up just to see, but that makes sense that one might invite the bear to possess them to make them stronger. And Norse uh, berserkers or berserks were Norse warriors who are primarily reported in the Norse literature to have fought in nearly uncontrollable trance-like furies. So uh, I was trying to see if it told what berserker meant, but I don't see it. Um,
Well, in some, let's see, I read something about, where did we go? In some Western African folklore, depending on the region, the hyena is seen as a symbol of immoral behavior, while in the East it is respected as the solar animal that brought the sun to warm the entire world. In Tanzania, hyenas are witches, the familiars of a witch, and the witches are thought to ride on them. Um, let's see, I don't know if I'm going to say this right because it looks like it says Buddha, but it's Bouda, is an individual's ability to turn into a hyena, but this has nothing to do with achieving the pure animal state, which most of these cultures view animals as. They view them as a pure state.
right.
It's said that one who practices the technique in order to achieve their own goals, usually to steal or to kill, will invoke the hyena. But unlike European werewolves, they do not return to their human form after death. They remain as hyenas.
That sounds to me like a hyena went wild and they killed one and they thought it was a human. Um, but yeah, and it's interesting that they choose the hyena, and they consider it immoral. I understand that to a certain degree, but it's interesting that they choose that animal. Um, Now, you had mentioned before we started the show that the Native Americans believed in certain forms of possession. Was it anything like this, or was it more shamanistic journeys and that kind of thing?
Well, it depended. There are some tribal nations that view pulling in the spirit of an animal as part of a spiritual journey to learn something,
Right,
to learn a lesson.
right,
What is it like to be a rabbit versus a cougar that would hunt the rabbit? That kind of a thing. There's a difference between reading about something and understanding it and experiencing that thing that you're learning about. That's the way most shamanistic cultures look at things. So you can, as an example, in Hawaii, um, shamans there would look at the volcano erupting and they might be able to tell you today, they might be able to tell you why the volcano is erupting, whereas the shaman will tell you what it feels like to erupt. So that's one of the reasons that they would call in animals, is so that they can learn about them. Others would call in animals because they need to go do something, like they need to go spy on a rival tribe that's coming to invade their territory, or they need to become an animal so that they can stealthily go and kill someone that's threatening a member of their family, that
Well,
kind of a thing.
I can tell you that I know what it feels like to feel like what it feels like to be a volcano because that's what type of temper I have. It erupts and it is ugly and it is lots of spewing stuff everywhere. It's usually
I've
verbal,
seen
but
it. I have seen it.
yeah, she has. Um, but that's kind of my temper. Uh, Sushi, I know you had sent me a message saying that we were having some derezzing issues. Is it gone now?
Yeah, it's gone now.
Yes.
I think what happened was, um, and for those of you who I'm sure you don't care, but we're trying to fix the sound issues on this show because we're kind of sick and tired of them. But Sushi is directly plugged in this time as opposed to over wireless, and we're testing the sound to make sure it works. But I think what was going on was I'd gone to a website to pull up information, and I think that derezzed my sound on my end towards you.
Oh, it was you this time?
Yeah, I think so because it was um, right when I was pulling up the Berserker information that you sent that. I was on that page when you sent that
Yes.
message.
Yes.
So I think because right now I'm carrying the Skype call plus the show plus the website plus the um, whatever it was I was doing over there, and I think that's what happened.
Okay.
So because you've not derezzed on me once
No,
so far,
it's working great.
knock on wood. I just knocked
Yeah,
on my
of
head.
course, my
Um,
desk.
and Tater said, cussing and spitting the whole way, right, Paul? You have no idea, Tater. I make up words when I'm mad. I will put cuss words together, and they make sense to me because I'm angry. But
I
we're
have a question.
sure. Go ahead.
Okay, we talk about animals that get into humans and possess the humans. What if an animal can transform into a human for a certain period of time? Now, I'm not sure. I would call that some kind of human possession because it's the animal transforming itself.
Well, no,
What would
that's
you
shape
call it?
shifting. That
That's
would
what
be
I would
shape
call it.
shifting. It would
Hmm.
it would be no different than me shape shifting into a cat to go do whatever cats do, or whatever. But that's shape shifting. I think that's an animal shifting to human form. Sushi.
I was saying, is that what the furries aspire to? To shapeshift to be the animal? I don't know.
I think I think they want something in between. I think they want uh, animal kind of animalistic bodies with human spirits and thoughts and
Mm,
I don't know. So I don't speak for the furries, and I
yeah,
apologize
no.
if I offend anyone by saying that because I could be completely wrong. They may want something completely different. I'm just speaking from what little I understand about the whole concept.
That was a
Um,
question that we got on Facebook in a private message, and she didn't want people to know she was asking. So we respect people who want to keep their questions anonymous. So
right,
there you
and
go.
and I
Oh,
get
yes,
that.
definitely.
Hmm.
I
Definitely.
get that.
Now, one of the stories that I came upon that kind of had something to do with that, where there are cultures that believe certain animals have magic to them. For instance, you hear about magic foxes or magic badgers. There's a legend, and I'm pretty sure it was Japan. I'm really reaching here, but I think it was Japan where they believe that spiders have magical powers, and there's one specific one called Jorogumo.
Mm.
Bless
Jorogumo.
you.
Yeah, I keep thinking it sounded like Geronimo, so I think I
Kitsune.
remembered it correctly.
Excuse me.
Anyway, she is a goddess who lives in the shape of a spider, and she protects people from drowning. So when she finds someone that's drowning, she changes her form from a spider into a goddess, and she goes and saves them. And I think that probably comes from people seeing water spiders. You ever seen water spiders running around
Yes.
on the top of? Right. We have them here on the lake all the time. They drive me
Hmm.
nuts. So I think that's more of a shape shifting thing, but it it adds to the ideas that we give to animals to interact with them.
Right. And I think it's interesting. And one of the things that I wanted to say was that the the idea of an animal possessing a human is not a modern American idea. For most Americans, i.e., Christians, if anyone's being possessed by anything, it is automatically a demon or devil or negative spirit. It is not your cat Fluffy came back from the dead and is now possessing you because you just crapped in the litter box. It's you were possessed by a demon cat and it made you, foul your house by going in the litter box. Um,
I'm not
so,
cleaning out the box.
I'm not either. I'd throw it away. But I just want to point out that that is not a modern American concept of an animal possessing a human. And
Right.
we're going to have to move on to truth or tale soon. But one of the things that I wanted to ask is that, hey, Jimmy put a picture of me in the chat room swimming. But is that a lot of people don't believe that you can be possessed by an animal because they don't believe animals have souls. And I wanted to find out what you guys thought about that.
Bullshit.
Okay.
To me, anything that has energy has some form of a soul or a spirit. That includes plants, it includes trees, it
Right.
includes anything that has some form of energy. Science has
Even
already,
Trump?
unfortunately, yes. Science has already proven that energy doesn't die. It changes form and it comes back
Thank you.
in something different.
That's what I was going to
So
say.
now one of the things that I believe in reincarnation, but one of the things that I have a problem with crossing the bridge is having people reincarnate into animals and then reincarnate into people and reincarnate into animals. To me, that doesn't make sense because I believe that there's an order to the universe and there's a path to enlightenment, that you can go from animal to human, but you can't go back again. It's like de-evolving instead of evolving the spirit. So that's just me. But there are cultures that believe that you can reincarnate back and forth between
I have heard
animal
that, yeah.
and human. And if you believe that, then you believe that the spirit goes with the energy into the physical form. So it goes into the wolf and the wolf has a spirit.
That's interesting. Sushi?
Oh, I don't know. I'm not convinced we have souls necessarily. I think that animals have feelings, and just like we do. And maybe I'm anthropomorphizing, um, but I can tell when my kitty's feelings are hurt, or if it doesn't want to be petted right now. So yeah,
But
they have.
you can see the thoughts going on behind their eyes,
Yeah.
and my thing is, if you don't believe a cat has a soul, and um, physics teaches us that energy is never created or destroyed, it just changes form. So if a cat doesn't have a soul and it dies, what happens to it?
Well, I mean, it's the same thing with us, though. When we die, what happens to us? I'm not convinced that there's an afterlife, reincarnation, heaven, hell, or anything.
Right, and
My
none of
energy
us,
goes back into the earth. It's done.
well, but your body goes back into the earth. Where does the energy of your awareness and your thoughts and your spirit or whatever you want to go, or whatever you want to call it, where does that go? Because
Back into the universe. Does it start over? I don't know. I'm
that's called reincarnation. But go
Yeah.
ahead.
Yeah, I'm just saying. I'm not convinced that we have a. I love talking about this. By the way, this
Yeah,
has
I do
been
too.
great.
And I'll be honest with you, I don't have a defined, really set of afterlife beliefs. I believe that I honestly don't know, and I'm still looking for answers.
I do.
Um,
Ask me.
we know you do. You've told us, but and there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, there's nothing wrong with your belief. The problem is no one has proof. You
That's
could say, oh, well, so and so died and came back and they saw hell, and so died and they saw heaven. I know people that have died that I've spoken to that saw the goddess.
Mm.
mm-hmm.
So you're telling me Jesus Christ is the one your person saw, and I'm telling you the person that I that died that I know saw the goddess. Who's right? I think
Exactly.
it was their interpretation of that energy.
Hmm.
The energy that is God, the creator, whomever you want to call it, they chose a face and a likeness that you would best interact with and feel most comfortable with. If for a white supremacist, if they died and a black man came to them as God, then they probably wouldn't accept that energy as readily as they would a white man that came to them.
White with blue
And
eyes.
right, an Aryan,
Well,
Zig Heil person.
I'm looking forward to finding out someday, just not right now.
I can help you
Exactly.
along. I can help you along right
I
now.
think
Jimmy said,
I think to
"Kapla."
some degree when we put emotions on our animals, um, I'm not sure animals having feelings is the same thing as them having a spirit. But I
Yeah,
do think they have a spirit because that's what I believe in.
that's
Last year when I was sick, there were certain days where I was significantly, I'm not sure I was going to make it through the day kind of sick. And on those days, our cats would find some way to come around and sleep next to me. I was sleeping on the couch because I couldn't get up the stairs to the bedroom. So they would sleep on the armrest. They would sleep on the back of the couch. They would, try to sleep on me, but they were all here at the same time. They knew something was wrong. They have feelings and can
yeah,
pick up on. Can pick on those subtle energies that we as humans have forgotten how
no
to
doubt,
sense.
no
Right.
doubt.
And I think all animals can do that. Does that mean they have a soul? Um, because of what I believe, I would say yes. That compassion is part of spirit. It's not necessarily, sorry, it's mindful time. The bell went off. Um, it's not necessarily
um,
just something that's in the physical mind. That's something that comes, the compassion to me comes from spirit. It doesn't come from I need to do this because that's what I need to do.
okay.
But that's
Well,
just me.
right. Final thoughts because we need to wrap up and get to truth or tale.
Yeah, I'm
I
not
think
convinced. I'm not convinced that animals can actually possess people. It just seems like our brains are too different. But there you go.
I
Okay.
think that animals can possess people either because we ask them to or because we're connected to them and we don't consciously know it.
I personally think that we could take on the aspects of animals. I don't know that they can necessarily possess us. Why would they want to? Be, you
Because we're
know, well, yeah, but why would you want to possess a stupid? That's like saying I want to possess Trump. You
well,
know, just because he's stupid doesn't mean I want to possess him. Now, I
if you
would
could,
possess him and
wouldn't you
do all
get him
kinds
out
of
of
weird
the
stuff, but
race?
that's true. But anyway,
Yeah.
I do believe that they have spirits. I don't believe that an animal is a soulless creature with nothing to offer because they give you unconditional love.
Hmm.
Nothing with unconditional love to me could be soulless. I just don't believe that. I believe that having that sort of depth of feeling and compassion and love has to be a spirit or a soul or something. But again, that's just my personal belief.
Yep.
But I don't believe they would want to possess us, and I think it would be very, very difficult even if they could. So, all right. So we are going to move on to Truth or Tale. And if you're not familiar with this game, it's basically where I have three stories I'm going to read, and you have to decide if it's crazy enough to be true or just so stupid that I made it up. And honestly, sometimes you can't tell the difference. So, number one, Sir Isaac Newton's Philosopher's Stone recipe has been found. Truth or tale? Sir
Mm,
Isaac Newton's Philosopher's Stone recipe has been found.
wow.
And for those of you
Um,
that don't know, the Philosopher's Stone recipe was his recipe for eternal life.
Hmm.
hmm.
Wow, that's out there far enough that it could be true.
I know that is crazy enough to be true.
I'm going to say true.
Okay.
Me too. I'm going to true also.
All right. That is the truth.
Wicked.
Wow.
A
Jenny says
17th
true.
Yeah. A 17th century alchemy manuscript written by Sir Isaac Newton has been found in a private collection. The world famous physicist whose laws of motion and gravitation would go on to dominate our understanding of the physical universe for several centuries is also known to have written down extensive notes on the subject of alchemy, the precursor of modern chemistry. At the time, alchemists believed that it was possible to break down metals into their constituent parts and transmute them to more valuable ones, such as gold and silver. Now, one of Newton's original alchemical manuscripts, one detailing a recipe needed to create a magical philosopher's stone, something that was once believed to hold the key to immortality, has turned up at an auction at Bonham's in Pasadena after being buried in a private collection for years. The handwritten recipe, which details how to produce the philosophic mercury, was originally written by George Starkey, an American alchemist who moved to England in 1650. This manuscript links Newton's alchemical practice to the American figure George Starkey, said rare book curator James Volkel. He's probably America's first renowned published scientist. Newton's notes, which sold at auction to the Chemical Heritage Foundation in Philadelphia, are now set to be published online to make them available for further study and analysis.
Neat.
Would it be interesting if it worked? Like they created it and it worked, and they're like, "Holy crap!"
He
But
was a very smart guy. We'll see.
yeah. All right. So number 2, some women have superhuman rainbow vision. Truth or tale? Some women have superhuman rainbow vision. Is
What
this
the
truth
hell is
or
that?
tale?
What is superhuman rainbow?
They can see colors that others can't.
Oh, true.
Ah,
I know what fuchsia
yeah.
is. I'm pretty sure evil doesn't.
I'm gonna go true also on this one.
Okay.
We're all built a little differently. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the truth. That is the truth.
Yeah, see?
Conchetta Antico is an authenticated tetrachromat artist. Artist Conchita Antico, a woman whose remarkable ability to see additional colors has earned her the nickname the Woman with Rainbow Vision, is one example of a tetrachromat, a person whose eyes have 4 color receptors instead of the usual 3. Now scientists investigating the phenomenon have revealed that the genetic mutation which gives rise to these abilities might actually be a lot more common than is generally believed, and that most women who do possess rainbow vision simply lack the training to take advantage of it. Most of them probably aren't even aware that they have superhuman color vision at all. To determine this, the researchers, who were led by Kimberly Jamison from UC Irvine, compared Antico's color perception with that of another tetrachromat and a person with normal vision. The results indicated that Antico was far more sensitive to colors than the other two, including the other tetrachromat, and that this was likely due to her training as an artist. And they're saying that by training other people, they can teach other women to see more colors and deeper, richer colors. So I think that's interesting. And honestly, you would never know, because your vision has been the same way all your life, so you wouldn't know that you could see a color of green that another woman couldn't see until you were going, "Oh, look at these 2 colors," and someone went, "Those are the same." I remember the first time I talked to a friend of mine that was colorblind. We had badges for a convention, and mine was pink or red color to show that I was overage and could drink, and his was gray to show that he was underage. And he was like, how do they know that your badge is different than mine and that you can drink? And I said, mine's pink. And he said, no, it's not. It's gray like mine is. And I said, no, it's pink. And he thought I was lying to him.
Wow. He didn't know he was colorblind?
No, he didn't know he was colorblind at the time. And he honestly had to have somebody else confirm for him independently that my badge was indeed pink and I wasn't lying to him, because he thought I was making it up. But see, you never know until someone tells you. All right,
Yeah, but it seems like a teacher would have recognized that in the first grade.
They might have. He may have been told and he just didn't listen. That was common for him. Anyway, So,
Anywho,
according to a study, 60% of widowed people see lost loved ones. Truth or tale? According to a study, 60% of widowed people see lost loved ones.
Well, I believe in that kind of thing, so of course I'm going to say true.
I would think they would believe they would see their loved ones. True.
Okay. So I love the way Sushi doesn't say they've seen them. She says, I
Oh,
believe they believe they've
they
seen it.
believe it. They believe it.
I believe it's possible they think they see leprechauns shooting out their butt. All right. So that is the truth.
Woo! Must have been a good
Reports.
week for news. They're all true.
I know.
Yay!
Reports of encountering a deceased loved one are not uncommon. Paranormal experiences involving a deceased loved one are not as uncommon as most people would believe. That is according to researchers at the University of Milan, who conducted an extensive study into cases of post-bereavement hallucinatory experiences, or PBHEs. Overall evidence suggests a strikingly high prevalence of PBHEs, ranging from 30% to 60% among widowed subjects, giving consistence and legitimacy to this phenomenon, they wrote. Jacqueline Hayes of the University of Roehampton, who has also studied the phenomenon for several years, prefers to use the term experiences of continued presence, ECPs. People report visions, voices, tactile sensations, smells, and something that we call a sense of presence that is not necessarily related to any of the five senses, she said. They happen involuntarily and, for example, not while someone is deliberately remembering. They are always significant to the bereaved and continue some aspect of the relationship with a loved one. Sometimes they also magnify it. While it isn't clear exactly what is taking place during these experiences, some researchers believe that they may be similar to flashbacks reported by sufferers of post-traumatic stress disorder. Dr. Hayes, on the other hand, maintains that there is something more going on. ECPs can occur for many years afterwards, and even when the bereaved are no longer experiencing trauma, and they are usually not in the form of flashbacks, but can be quite new experiences, she said. Whether they are helpful or unhelpful depends on the nature of the relationship with the deceased. That's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
I think it's interesting that she's saying that it's more than a flashback, that it's actually an interaction with spirit, and I think it's interesting for a scientist to look at it from that standpoint. Maybe they can actually come up with something that is valid and proof of the paranormal. But unfortunately, that is going to wrap it up for this episode of the Enigma Project. We are going to call this show Did. We are out of time. I would like to thank everyone that listened in the chat room. You guys were awesome. Let me know what you guys think of the new chat room, whether or not you like it, don't like it, like the old one, whatever. It was a lot easier for me to communicate in the chat room and keep up with stuff, so I'll be honest with you, I like it more than I did the previous one. I love the fact that stories and pictures can be shared in it. But thanks to everyone who listened live, all the people in the chat room. You guys are awesome. We love you guys. Please show up every Monday and talk to us. You are the reason we do this, so we appreciate it. Join us next Monday when our topic is going to be our April Freeform show. So please start sending your questions now, and we will, if we get a whole bunch of them, we'll try to get to them. But if not, we're going to choose whatever topic we want to. That's going to wrap it up for this episode of the Enigma Project. Everyone have a great Monday, have a great rest of the week, and we will see you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Adios.
Bye-bye.